Good morning. It is, believe it or not, 11:47 a.m. It's not 10:30 a.m. And that means it is time for a very late, belated Sunday Club this morning. Sunday Club is a weekly-ish at the moment, weekly Ruby on Rails live stream where each week we look at some Ruby on Rails coding and build an application together. And the application that we are working on is an event ticketing and registration application where organizers can say, hey, I want to put on an event and I want to sell tickets or have people register to take part in the event, and then people can register through the application. It's all pretty normal, pretty standard stuff. And specifically what we are looking at the moment, and also for this application, the bit that kind of interested me is group and team registrations as part of making a purchase for a ticket, because that's something I've done before, and it's pretty interesting. All right, let's take a look at a couple of quick bits of follow-up. First of all, I'm late this morning. Nothing major, just normal life stuff. And so apologies for putting a time that I then couldn't make. I normally only try and schedule the YouTube stream at the point when I know I'll be able to get online. But this morning's been a bit messy at home, so didn't make it. So here we are, a little later than normal. Try and get back onto a normal schedule next week. Other follow-up, nothing to do with the application, but a colleague at work told me this week that Rails Girls is back on, which is an event that I've taken part in before, and I think it is next Saturday in London. So if you are a Rails engineer who is looking to coach other people looking to get into it, or you are interested in getting started with Rails or anything like that, this event is specifically aimed at getting women into, it doesn't have to be Rails, but this event is focused around that, and introducing them to Rails as a framework and Ruby as a programming language and things like that. And it's really fun, lovely way to meet people, and have seen some really impressive sort of things either built in a day, or people turn up with applications they already have and just looking for some guidance, or just looking to hang out and get some, lovely time with some very nice people. The event is at, I have not, Rails Girls, London 11th and 12th of November. So it is railsgirls.com/london.html for more details. So I'm hopefully going to be there to be one of the coaches. Well, not hopefully, I am going to be there. They've accepted my application to be a coach. So if you're interested in coming and hang out, and if you have, people do seem to watch this stream. So if you are one of the people who are going, then come say hello. It would be lovely to meet people. Yeah, hopefully nice to see things back in person, which during the pandemic didn't really happen. So yeah, exciting. All right, that's all our follow-up stuff. Nothing particularly stream related. All right, let's get into what we did last week. Let's jump over. What were we doing? We did stuff with a Jamboard, a Google Jamboard right here. So hopefully I'm still signed in. Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so we had 3 full pages of notes. We didn't do any code or anything. We're playing, excitingly playing with Jamboard, which I enjoyed hugely because it's a fun application to use. I don't even have my iPad with me today, so I think it's downstairs, so we can just look at our previous notes. So we were trying to do some planning around how we're going to work this stuff out. So we looked at a couple of the things that we have already. We looked at the sequencing, I think, of how we were going to... Oh, no, maybe this was the sequencing. So this is like things we would need to take into consideration. So creating attendee, creating this idea of allocations, which I think would be fun to look at today. We talked about forms and form fields, and all of this stuff was in Sketch. So I'm just going to open up the Sketch page as well. That is here. Bear with me just a second. Should pop up. Here we go. It's on the other screen. So we're building, we might actually sort of polish this up a little bit, but we were talking about turbo frames and kind of moving someone booking for a registration through this process. And we haven't finished all of our user interface. The app still looks rough, but that's sort of less interesting. We sort of want to get into the functionality stuff. So today, I want to kind of get into this idea of maybe having this idea of allocations and sort of do some work in progress, kind of initial work around the modeling here. What we would normally do if we were in a real application and being professional and doing all those things. So is we sort of spend longer planning, like work out how we want to do things, but let's just do that in the code. Let's just sort of play around. So we're not trying to be diligent or do anything like the proper way on this stream. This is just to sort of mess around and be, make our mistakes more easily. So this is what is uncommitted at the moment. This is all of our stuff around styling and getting everything going for our little sidebar layouts. I'm just gonna sort of get rid of all of this and tell myself I have rebased master, or like the branch we're working on really recently. So it got out of control. It was like 90 commits just from each stream. So I have gone back, so that branch actually isn't out of control. But let's just let's put whip. Let's put a little note to myself, rebase me. And this is formatting. Avatars, navbars. This is my memory of what this was a few weeks ago now. CSS. Let's just put that. And I'll put hi Max. This is to myself because I'm going to erase this. This is from a few streams ago. Please break this down into sensible commits. Apologies for not doing it now. Past Max. I'll either appreciate myself being kind to myself by putting a little note, or I will resent it when I have to do a massive rebase, because we don't always do all of our git diligence on the stream because it's a live stream. We do all that stuff in our normal professional lives. Right now we can just mess around. All right, let's remind ourselves then, and by ourselves I mean me, we've done some work around creating attendees in the ordering process. And we just did a bunch of stuff quickly, I think. Let's fire up server. No, it's been dev, this one, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so we've got a server, and we don't need to sign up to buy tickets, I don't think. So I think... see if any of these events are real. No, okay. I was hoping to get lucky and hope. No, okay, fine. And we haven't built a way to actually see all of an organization's events. Okay, no, we're actually gonna have to sign in. Okay, bear with me a second. We just want to take a look and see. I think this is test 1, 2, 3. Seed data. So again, we haven't got all of our formatting done, but it'll do. Right, one of these organizations has an event. I can't remember which one. It's this one, new org. And we've got Family Fun Run 2022. Let's just zoom in a little bit more. So we've got this public page. And let's look at this public page in a private window, so we're not signed in. Ignore the formatting. We mentioned this on the last couple of streams. It's all broken, but we were halfway through and got bored. So blah, blah, blah. It'll look nice. There's a sketch file somewhere. That's for another stream. We're not looking at formatting today. So buy ticket. So this takes us through to /orders/new. So that should be, I'm guessing, our orders controller. And we create a new order for this event. Just make the font a bit bigger here. You can read this on the stream. It creates a new order, and the order knows which event it is for. And I remember there being a bunch of stuff that we had to do around... Right, okay, so the event gets passed in as a slug, but the organization also has to get passed in. And the reason for that is that the event slugs are not unique. They are unique to the organization. Whether that's a good idea or not is a conversation for another time. I'm tempted to say the answer is it's probably not, but whatever. I think in reality, if I don't know, maybe it's fine. But what you could do is sort of do what Trello do and just like prefix their slugs with like a alphanumeric 4, 5, 6 characters. To have like BQ5A Z dash and then your actual slug, and then you would always have a unique one. But whatever, for branding, this is fine. And we've just put these in here as these sort of these style params, but you could have slash organization slash event slash order slash new. We could rig that up if we wanted to. None of that matters. Come on, Max, stay focused. So what is on this page? This is a name field, and this is an email address field. This is for the event owner. So I think this was represented on our Jamboard somewhere, was it? Collect order owner details. That's this part here. If I try and zoom in again. Look at my handwriting, it's all blurry on here for me. So it's not the stream, it's actually just blurry. Okay, so. Oops. How do I move around? This one. Yeah, great. So we want to create the order. And at the point when we create the order, we create the attendee and the allocations. So there's a new order here, but it's not persisted. We have 2 fields on the, oh, come on, Max. We have 2 fields on this page, name and email address. And then it posts, I'm assuming, to this create action. We can check that. So what are we doing here? We have a new order. We instantiate a new order with all of the stuff we've just been given. Oh, this was 10 months ago. We move at a truly glacial pace on this stream. We then assign it a random order number. That could happen on the model. That doesn't need to happen here, but whatever. This is the stream, so like we take what we get when we find it. We then build an attendee record. Right, okay, and this was at the point where we were just trying to have a conversation around what is an attendee and how does that work. It was a separate record, but here we're just building one. And the problem with that is that that was the constraint. Each ticket purchase, each order represented a ticket. And I think I wanted to run like a dummy event where we could just sign people up, but life got in the way of that a little bit. So, okay, so one order here represents one attendee, fine. And we are just transposing the order owner details. So that's owner email and owner name onto that attendee. And then saving both. We then had fun with emails and mailers and stuff like that. And then redirected people through. And if it didn't save, if there was a problem, we are just re-rendering the new stuff. Okay, so all of this needs to change for this to happen. Because what we actually want to do is support the idea where we can have multiple, zoom in, multiple attendees for each order. So on the screen here is the sketch file that we had previously. And as you can see, this sort of was a rough sketch for how we were going to handle ticket types, which when we looked at all of these different event applications was like a standard thing. So each ticket type has its own rules, and each attendee would be making a purchase or taking an allocation for one ticket for each ticket type. Okay, so just thinking about like, do we skip ticket types altogether for now and just have this idea of a quantity field and then come back? Because it's not like we actually have to release this to production and plan anything through. And that sort of, we could then refactor that out so that we don't put ticket type in initially. And then when we do come back to put it in, we can just backfill and say all current events have a default ticket type. Maybe. Because what would that look like if we skip the concept of ticket types? In reality, you would collect a quantity here. Actually, you could collect a quantity here, I guess. And then yeah, you would just need to collect a quantity somewhere. And then in here, well, not in here, you would extract it out. I'm assuming we would do... well, I don't know what we would do, but let's just sort of pseudocode it. So it could be like order.quantity dot times do. And that, you know, that could be, you could have validated that to be between 1 and n tickets. That could just be a number. I don't know. Would that work? I think so. And then in here, we could just do attendee.new, but this would, I think this would actually work either way. But you wouldn't build... Oh, does attendee need email at the moment? Because I think what we were saying is they wouldn't. These would actually be blank. And you would just build these as blank records. Wrap this whole thing up in a transaction somewhere. Something like this, and then have some sort of success or failure response order or something. What was the other thing you said we wanted to create? Oh, the allocations. Okay, so in here, so this could actually be like yeah, this we could work out how to make this nicer, but this could be something like you create a bunch of attendees like this, and then you could create a bunch of allocations. Again, you wouldn't actually code, the code wouldn't look like this. Oh, maybe it would, whatever. And then this could be, I don't know what this model would be called. Something like that. That also needs to have the order, right? So that's order. And this would also have the same thing. Oh no, each attend. Right, so you then want to persist those. This would be the least resilient way of doing this, perhaps. So then you could do what's the Rails thing, like import all? Where you just do one. Insert all. Oh yeah, sorry, one. Insert all. I guess you could just do it with a bang, I guess. Attendees. So at this point they would be persisted. You could do some sort of check there, and then you could say that would get you all of your attendees. So you're within your transaction here, so you would want to stay within there, and then in here you could do, what does insert all return? Just thinking all this through, by the way, like this might be an awful idea. Does it just return true or false? That's the PR. Let's see if there's some docs. Okay, so you get result. An array of hashes representing the result. Active record result also includes enumerable, so you could then do and D result or something like that, because you're getting a hash back, you're not getting the type by the looks of it. So here you could then do, what did I do with my allocation thing? Oh, I lost it. Event allocation dot. Oh, did I delete all of this? Oh, okay, that doesn't make any sense, but I deleted it. So then you could do the same thing again. No, you would yeah, this is all awful code, but don't worry. I'm just trying to work out if this is what we're trying to do. Save our attendees, and then because we need those attendees persisted on our allocation, so persist them first. And this wouldn't work in like a it wouldn't work well in a like super high right environment. You wouldn't do this way, but I think this one will be fine. Then we take allocations. So the order would be the order. The attendee would be, you could just do like attendee ID. Attendee result. What do you get back? ID? ID. No idea if this would work. We'd have to test all this stuff. And then we could do whoops. Result. Get that. And then order save. And then you could say if order persisted. So if that's all saved, then you could check it there. Does that make any sense? Is that what we're actually trying to do? So you're in here. No, I'm in the wrong browser. So you're in here. And you say, I want 4 tickets. And we're skipping the concept of ticket types. We're just having this idea of quantity. And for each one, you want to create an attendee. And you want to create an allocation that expires at some point. Oh man, this is going to be like, when I said at the start here, we would normally want to do loads more planning. Like this is why, right? Because there's like 10, like you want allocations that expire. So you need to work out how you're going to expire them. Okay, we can kind of skip all of that stuff. So for now, so then what would it actually look like to introduce ticket types above this. That would be another iterative thing you'd have to do first, right? So you couldn't then have order.quantity. Let's say that we had this concept of ticket types. At the point of submitting a UI like this, where there's like adult tickets and children tickets for a fun run, you'd have to loop over. You'd have to check that the params were legit. So they've got 3 adult tickets and 3 child tickets. Fine. Check that both of those ticket types are still on sale. Is the request still valid? Assuming they are, you've then got something like, maybe it's coming from the params. I don't know where it's coming from. Dot ticket types. Again, we're assuming everything's valid. Each. So for each ticket type, you're then looking for how many people ordered each type of ticket. So I don't know what the structure of the params would be, but theoretically, you're then just doing this as well. And then what is this? This is like, I guess it's still just I, but it's also like let's just put I, but it's a number, like you want 1 adult ticket, 2 adult tickets, 3 adult tickets. When you're then building your attendees, where are you attaching your ticket type? To the attendee or to the allocation or to both? Yeah, you really would have planned all this out. Maybe just on. Yeah, maybe just on the attendee, perhaps. So in here, it would be something like, maybe this wouldn't exist. And you'd instead have something like this and be adding to your attendees array here. Ticket type would be ticket type or ticket type ID, whatever, some sort of reference to the ticket type that they want to buy. Then you do, once you had all of them, you do this part. So you'd write them all out. Fine. Then having saved all of them with a ticket type in them, you would just create an allocation for them. And the allocation is really dumb at this point. Like the allocation is literally just a representation that is only used for counts. Like it's to actually get any information about any of the attendees, like allocations per type, allocations per order, allocations for anything, you'd always have to come back through the attendees. And one of the things that we sort of keep coming back to is the idea of, if you have a ticket type called family ticket. So in this user interface here, you have adult ticket and child ticket, but then you have another one called family ticket. And what that represents is 5 people, or like 5 to 10 gets a discount. So it doesn't really matter. Somewhere in your admin config, you'd have to be able to say how many attendees does one purchase of this ticket type represent? How many allocations should we make for this ticket type, for one unit of this ticket type? And then that would set this logic here. How many allocations do we make? So we bought one ticket type. This could be like a family ticket, right? Which represents 5 people. And you would then want to say, you wouldn't loop over the attendee results. You'd have another loop called attend allocations by ticket type, and you would loop over the attendees, look at the allocations per ticket type that they'd done. No shit, you need to do it here as well. It wouldn't be ticket type dot quantity dot times. It would be ticket type dot times I, and then ticket type dot attendees per ticket type dot times dot or something like that. This is nonsensical code. I'm willing to admit that. I'm just trying to like think of all the things that are actually going to affect the number of records you end up producing. So here, ticket attendees per ticket, I'll do X. I mean, and then here, and you'd go in and view your order. So you'd have all your line items for your order, which would be like one for ticket type, you know, three adult events, 3 adult tickets, 3 children tickets, and 2 family tickets. And then you would see 3 attendees, 3 attendees, 10 attendees, because you've got 2 family tickets. And then somewhere you could look and see that you've got 26 attendee records. And this all stems from the fact that I'm looking at using records in a table rather than just tracking integers, right? Like just tracking totals. And the idea being is that the attendee record will be the source of data to allow us to do per attendee data collection. And the allocation record is the idea that for each attendee, for any ticket type, you could rescind the allocation. So you could say, this person is still attending, but I don't want to count them towards the allocation. And you could do that by just incrementing and decrementing counters. And I'm guessing at scale, you'd have to do that. Maybe, I have no idea. Because definitely for the concurrency of like, if you're selling 1 million tickets. But then you do what we saw a lot of the, like when we were looking through event applications, you saw that you just take these features away. Like don't allow people to do that. Maybe you just like only do that for like certain events and code certain things in and build your resiliency around it. Whereas we're just doing a dummy. So I think this is fine. Like you end up with, you know, you need to be pruning your attendees records all the time. Like, because you'd have a bunch of orders that don't get complete and stuff like that. Okay. Maybe this is what order? I did touch on the sequencing on the Jamboard. What was the sequencing I wanted to look at here? Oh, I did put ticket types first. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, great. Let's sort of get into that then. So what can we do with this? We can just leave it here for now. This is gibberish, but we can leave it here for now. So let's introduce this concept of ticket types and see what it means for us. We've got an event. And it just does a bunch of validation. It has orders. And it has attendees. Why doesn't it have attendees through those orders? Because I'm assuming each attendee has an order ID. Okay, let's come back to that. We'll sort of touch on that. So let's assume that we just want to attach ticket type as an association on here. We're calling this ticket type potentially, or that's what I've been describing it, but nowhere else have we used the word ticket, because ticket is like attendee was the idea of like actually tracking per attendee data for each person rather than just having a quantity and saying you're selling 3 tickets. I think it was it active.com? Maybe only one of the, or maybe it was like Ticket Tailor or something like that. One of them had the most robust set of configuration you could do on an event. It allowed like full on, like really deep customizations of what you could do with either just like quantities or collecting information per attendee. I think Eventbrite was sort of one of the more limited concepts because it's the most generic. They need to support the most types of event, I guess. So are we going to use the word ticket in here? It's not attendee type, is it? Order quantity type? Allocation type? I haven't got the concept of allocations in here yet. Let's just sort of go with ticket type for now. Yeah, okay, let's sort of go with ticket type for now. So let's say we want to have this thing. I don't know anything about what it's going to contain, so let's make a blank migration. And can you, well, I actually don't tend to use Rails generate model aspect. Will it give you that stuff? I never build my own generators for this, which I know I should do, and I see people doing regularly. Will this work? I have no idea what's about to happen. Oh, it just does the spec. It doesn't model give us the mini test versions. Generate a controller, generating a model. It will give you the test. I bet it accepts arguments, right? Oh, but it gives you migration as well. Okay, well that's not really worth it. We can just write a file for 2 seconds. Okay, that's interesting. I see people on like different Rails places, Twitter and forums, like, and they make their own lives easier because they know they always generate things in the same way. So they make their own generators. Like, that seems like a really good idea. Do we have one that's got like, none of us have like our include magic string. What's in it? Oh, that's our gibberish. Okay, fine. Okay, so what is our ticket type going to have? It is going to have an event. It is going to have a name. And I don't think we need to do much with that here because we don't know what the rules around naming will be. Well, I think everything else we've done name rather than like title or anything like that, haven't we? Go to these other stuff with name there. Let's have a name. Well, that actually does have a limit in the database. I think I was trying to be conservative, I would guess. No, that's fine. We can just do the validation on the model for that. That seems, I don't know. We don't buy a lot with that limit, I would guess. We want. So I guess we would eventually want for this sort of ticket type to become available over a period of time and then become unavailable. So you might have a ticket type called early bird tickets, and that would be available for the month before full tickets go on sale, and then you would want it automatically to stop being on sale, and then immediately your normal tickets to go on sale. So you'd want some sort of ticket type availability schedule. I don't think we need to support that now. We just need this concept to exist. But we probably need the concept of availability so that we could have some and toggle them on and off. Do we, I mean, in the real world, we would treat that as like we would chop that up and make it a separate piece of work that we could support afterwards. This could be our bare bones. Do we care about that now? No, I think we can ignore that for now. That could be like a little standalone chunk of work that we do. So we introduce this idea of somehow in the code looking to see which ticket types are available, somehow in the database making them available or not unavailable. Maybe initially it's a toggle on and off, and then under the hood you could then introduce the concept of ticket type availability schedules, but you wouldn't necessarily have to change the API on the ticket type because all you would do is change the underlying implementation. So rather than just initially it could always be true, then you could swap it out for a true false record on the database, and then you could swap it out to actually look at the schedule based on the current time or any given time, pass the timestamp in and say, would it be available on this date or time, and get that same true or false value back. Because all you care about is like, can someone make a ticket purchase at this time? And this goes back to this idea of what we were talking about when you start that order, sort of in here, you are looking to mitigate, not now, but long term, against the idea of an event organizer changing all of the event config during the person making the order. So somewhere in here, you would maybe do like event config snapshot or something like that. And it would be something like, I think, event dot config snapshot. I have no idea what it would be. And you could persist things like, is this ticket type available? Because even though the event ticket type might not be available during the order, it was when they started it. So you still might have purchases that are completed after the ticket type is available, but it was available when they started because maybe you give them 15 minutes to finish their order, and you could, I guess, choose to just either kick everyone out of their order flow or make sure you're supporting when those things. So you wouldn't look to see if the ticket type was still available at the end of the order process. You do everything in that one snapshot period of time. I assume. I have no idea. Maybe there's again, I'm really out over my skis with a lot of this stuff because we haven't actually built any of it, and in production you'd find all these edge cases. Okay, so right, what else do we need? So we've got this is some generic text. It probably wraps. So you'd probably want a description. I'm looking back. This is our user interface, right? So this is our ticket name. This is presumably our ticket. Let's say short description. Again, I'm not going to cap this in the database because God knows what we would want to do with it. Maximum quantities for ticket types. Where would that live? Would that live on the ticket type? Would you have something like a max quantities per order? And that would be what powered the cap to say how many you could add. Would that live? Somewhere else? It feels like that would live here. Again, in reality, I would probably, that would be a separate piece of work. Would be like plan how we're going to have maximum capacity. So like max. Yeah, I feel like that feels like a safe enough bet for now. Again, it's that same idea as like, is this available or not? You just need an API somewhere that says, hey, how many can I let them enter? What should I validate at this point of creating it, so that when you are iterating whatever this code ends up looking like, when you're doing this line here, no, this line here, attendees per ticket type, that can't be higher than a certain quantity based on this. Attendees per ticket type is the quantity per order. So we're talking about quantity here, but attendees anywhere else. Yeah, I feel like linguistically we're going to back ourselves into a real corner, but all right, let's keep going. All right, this will do. This will get us out the door. So we want to force you to have a name. Let's force you to have a short description and this for now. Let's say that you have to have all this stuff and we can ease that off later. I think references will generate an index on event ID. We should be always really need to look up, I think. Be like, get me all ticket types by event ID would be the query we cared about. Okay, so let's try that. Okay. And then let's, let's go to our thing. I think we had like shoulda matches for validation. I think. Yeah. We'll just add a couple of these to clarify. Name it cares about. Short description it cares about. Should we do all of these on Rails or let some of them fail in the database? Like these are the only ones that the user will have access. No, I guess we would want max max quantity per order as well. And the other one can just collapse back to the database, because if it's getting created without an event, that's a serious failure. So these should then all fail. Just use this in this terminal in here. So we should have a bunch of failures because there are no validations on that model. And then hopefully we can just come in here, say, validate, can't remember which way around it goes. Validates this one. Name, short description, max quantity per order. Check they pass. Cool. All right, so we have a model that does nothing but exists. So let's all of that stuff. So I don't know if it was a new Git version, but on a separate laptop, a work laptop, you now get the diff when I do git commit here. I don't know if this is because of the Git version. I think it might be. Rather than just getting the files that are committed when you do git commit, you now get the diff. And in this editor, it's also color coded, which is really helpful because quite often when I'm writing the commit message, I actually have to I want to go and just check what I changed. And so having the diff further down, it is a bit overwhelming when you say like git commit, and if hopefully the commit's not too huge. But the first time it happened, I was really surprised. I was like, what's happening in here? But I don't know I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it was a config that I had changed on a different machine, or if it was just a newer version of Git or something like that. But I actually didn't know that on a standard Git commit, all this blurb that you get, you could have the diff. So if that's something of interest to you, then it's a thing that exists. So introduce ticket type model. So at this point, I think this model is the minimum amount of data we need to represent are available when a user starts an order. Considerations. So again, your git commit message is like why you thought these things, or things you didn't do or actively tried to avoid. The code in the commit is fairly, like, you can see that we just made a model. This is the thing that's probably more useful when you're doing like trawling through why did someone do this. The considerations, we're using the word ticket here. In the model name, but we haven't used Git elsewhere, as they could be registrations, etc. We've also used attendee rather than ticket holder, etc. There's no meaning implied in this naming. It's just what I tend to call them. Call these groups. We've actively deferred supporting available, not available. So at this point, because they could be like groups or something like that. Ticket groups, order type groups, order purchase groups, something like that. At this point. And what else did we avoid? We also avoided oh right, but we did that for both, like when it yeah, that'll do. The gist is a bunch of stuff I didn't consider. All right, cool. So guess we just want to be able to administrate those. Is that the only real thing we care about? So somewhere, somehow, we need to be able to create them, edit them, probably not destroy them, right? Because you might have a bunch of orders, so you just want to sort of deactivate them. But again, we've just deferred that, so let's skip being able to create them. So in admin events, you can have admin events attendee, admin events orders. So I'm presuming we can have admin events ticket types. Let's go and do this. Take a look at our request specs. Admin events. I think we just want an index as well, right? Oh, there's a bunch of boilerplate in here. Did we fix any of this stuff? Okay, we need to come back, and we don't need this spec to be as busy as this, because you could just, there's a bunch of setup that's going to be familiar to all of these request specs. But we've sort of committed to having them. So with a valid order. No, I'm not doing. Okay, so we want a bunch of this stuff. So let's sort of, we want ticket. Controller back. And I think we probably want all of this to be basically the same. This is a bunch of stuff we can replace with some sort of shared setup. But again, I'm going to keep saying that, just skipping stuff for now. So we create an organization, create an event, and then this can be ticket types. And then as an admin, you do the idea of setting up an admin user, confirm that user, have a successful response. Okay, that just means you can get to the page. So all of this should fail so far. Because there's no root, there's no nothing. Okay, so let's add in our root. Still fairly boilerplate stuff. I want to do that thing where all of the paths become hyphenated, but we'll come back to that as well because I prefer it on a. I've done it there as well. Yeah, I think we could. There's like some generic code you can add in where all of your default resource paths will use hyphens instead of underscores, which makes no practical difference as far as I'm aware. So that's the same. So now hopefully we get a different failure. Oh, oops. Hopefully we get a different failure on our test. Great, so we just need a controller. And again, we could, like, if you had a generator, this would be a 2-second job because you'd have done all of your labor up front and done your custom generators and made your life way easier. But we have not done that. Does admin base controller take care of grabbing the event and the... No, it doesn't. That's really annoying. So we could then have an admin events based controller which grabbed everything. But how, like every time on the stream, so set event, and then in here we could just have the same thing. So that actually only needs to exist once, but it currently exists in all these. Well, and the other thing, oh, whoops. Okay, and the other thing that we sort of wanted was the other ones had a spec for as a non-signed in user, which should also be the same. Again, that could be in a shared example somewhere. We want admin So let's run these tests again. It should get, I guess we've got no view template. Ticket types control, no, great, we got types. Cool, so we just need the view template, admin, events. Okay, so we already have a bunch of these. New folder in here called ticket types. This should now pass, should be the blank page. Doesn't. Interesting, okay. Does this fail on all of our tests? We actually haven't run our full test suite. So is this actually just full of failures from, because I just, at the start of this stream, for anyone who joined, I just committed a bunch of work in progress stuff from when we were doing the UI. So I've probably just broken. Yep. Okay. so I hadn't actually finished that work and checked all the tests. Okay. Well, cool. Thanks to Past Max from the other. That must have been because we didn't do any code last week and I missed 2 before. So that must have been a month ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago. So we were obviously halfway through something by the looks of it to do with avatars and didn't finish it. So it was just screwing ourselves over. So thanks. Wrote a little message to Past Max in a commit message earlier. Not cool. So somewhere in here. This might not, can I just fudge this? What's actually failing? Because we can just, it's only in the last commit, so we can get back and fix it. So processed for nil. So theoretically, can we just do this? We don't even need to, still got 3. The other's going to fail. Because theoretically, we can just, oh no, they're all failing again, oh no. Oh, maybe variant will fail actually. Yeah, because we haven't committed this ages ago or anything. Like it was only a minute ago. What have we actually got? Oh, have I saved all of the crap I did at the start of this stream? Oh, sorry. So we did some pseudocode in orders controller, just as an example, and of course none of it works because it's pseudocode. So I sort of want to. What do I want? I'll just copy all of this out here, and let's just stick it in another file because, and then we can just. Orders controller, we can just discard those changes. We've got a copy of them. Sorry about that one. Again, you'd normally do all your planning and do all your fun stuff before you started, but we're just no, we're doing it live. We're fine with it. Oh, they're still failing. So yeah, this is just not tidying up after ourselves after the last stream, I think. Let's see what we've got now. I think we did build it, so we could have just done a dash only failures and stuff like that. What have we got here? Oh, okay, that's fully broken. Those I just didn't update those tests at all. Okay, so but these ones won't fail, so we can ignore that, but hopefully these ones, if we go back up to our ticket type control, these ones should now pass because they were failing on a generic. Yeah, great. Okay, cool. They were failing because the actual view wasn't rendering with it, like we've broken the view, but we know we need to come back and fix that. That's fine. Okay, so that's not what we were doing. where do we reset this one? How do I get it back to this new? Okay, I just want to not save that. Care about that. That's our dumb file with loads of stuff in it that from the start. Okay, cool. That is can go. This just has index. So I guess we want to set the ticket types. And I'm guessing that is at event ticket types, which means we need the event model to know about ticket types. Oops. So then we should be able to do event.ticket types. Like that's it. We haven't built any mechanism to delete them, to filter them. They don't have any data on. So at the moment it is just all of them. And this can just be ticket types. We've done nothing sensible here. So they're just set. What that means is theoretically we can then in here do oops. This and name and what was the field called previously? It's called like we've already committed the schema, have we? But it's validated, isn't it? So we can see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've committed everything. It was called like max quantity something. Where am I going? Commits. Max quantity per order. Short description was the other one. I know, some stuff. Okay, so now we can then theoretically go to here. Events, family fun run. There isn't a show view for that, so we can go. Oh, did I close my server? And we can go to orders, but instead of orders, we can do ticket types. Cool, that's empty. So in here we get ticket types. Oops. Great. Let's just build out the rest of this CRUD then. It's just fairly boring, but let's at least allow ourselves to add them. Let's do some of our commit tidy up then as we go. We're not in any major hurry this morning, so let's do this and this. We can add type association to event model. That's already happened on the other side because there's a references thing. So then we add the roots, the controller spec for index, the index view, all of those fields should always be present. So they should all work. And then a controller that does something. Add admin events ticket types controller. This is initial only. Whatever. Just trying to say that I'm not trying to get anything fancy done in here. Okay, there is a comment in the chat, but sadly I can't read it. So it's not in a language that I can read. So it may be a legit comment or it might be spam. I have no idea. If I can put it in Google Translate on my other screen. I'm not going to do it on this screen in case it is spam. Yeah, it looks like spam. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's do our form then. And we want to have a create action. Again, if we had, I don't think there was any create actions in here actually. Other these are all read only at the moment. Yeah, okay. This will maybe be our first, so within admin events, I mean. Create. So we need this setup again. We'll boilerplate that later. This, I'm not sure why. Well, I do know why. For some reason, we weren't able to use our shortcuts here, but now we can. So this would be in here we'd get admin event ticket types path. So we want to be able to do a create here. Again, this is all just standard boring stuff. We're not doing anything exciting at this stage, but we should now have a route for that. And can reference that here. But we want to do it with params as, we'll just do valid, let's just do params to start with, and then we'll say gb scribe, and then context for a variant of that. And so we want it to be a ticket. So this would need to have the organization and the event in it, I think. Okay. And the ticket type would need to have a name. Example name. Why your font size is so big? It is because the feedback I get on this stream is that a lot of people watch this in small windows and they can't read it when I have it as small. So I have a larger font size when streaming. Hopefully people find it useful. And normally I have music playing as well, which I know people have sometimes given me feedback on. But I upgraded my laptop and it broke the app that I have the music playing with. So I need to get that sorted out. So no music today either. Example short description. And then this is an integer, I think it was. So this could just be like 2. Cool. Okay, so then what do we actually want this to do? We want it to create a new ticket type. The event. I think that's all you really want to do here is just make new ones. I think that's it. Yeah, okay, fine. So we can just say we can just do a quick check for the count, right? So we can say expect this to be the create action. So expect create action to change the can we do this event dot that work? See if I've even written a valid test. By the looks of it, I have not. Do I have to specify that this is a hash like this? Okay, great. So now we just don't have the implementation. So we are presumably accepting a set of params here. And I think we just want the ones from cool, so we take those 3 in, and then we can say I just do all of that. Oh, whoops. Yeah, that is right. I want can I just do I think I can do build. Can I just do I don't think can I do new like that? I can't remember if that works. And then I guess if we do this new, I guess we haven't got a new yet, but that'll do. Here we can just do redirect to the index, I guess. It's all just boilerplate stuff. Again, this is all, yeah, I know we could have like generators and stuff to do all this for us, but we don't do that on the stream. There's loads of boilerplate in here that we have to keep typing because I only do this for a couple of hours every week, so never get back to actually doing any of like the time-saving stuff that would save us time. Did I miss a bunch of stuff in there? Oh, okay, so it just didn't. Let's see if it is actually doing anything. Oh, okay. Is that actually calling that? I thought that was invalid code. So actually, I'm just want to check that that is being called at all. No, it's not. Okay, cool. It's a little. Oh, okay. That's. You run command? Oh, that's cool. I want to get that debug thing set up. I saw a stream recently where all of the new Ruby version has debug built in, and you can put all your breakpoints and get it all working with VS Code. There was like a link in Ruby Weekly or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be so helpful just to have like, hey, I want a breakpoint here, and everything is then just in VS Code, like a sort of more like a traditional IDE rather than having to put in pry and all of that other stuff. And it was all just like in your editor. You could use these built-in tools, all these little like debug things, and it looked great. And I just haven't got around to setting it up. Definitely not for the stream stuff. I haven't set it up at work either. But that looked kind of fun. And I guess it would be one of those things where it'd take you maybe like a little while to get up, a couple of hours to get running, but then would probably save you so much time, but never actually get the time to do the couple of hours. All right, so we are not calling this. Why is this not getting called? So we are trying to call this to create action to change this by that, but you are never signed in. So because we must have a shared example. I have a memory somewhere that we have some shared examples for these. Shared context. Okay. As an admin user, so we do have these. Okay, so I must have used these somewhere. Admin controller action. I just grab this part. Params. Well, let's do it here then. Can I do that? I think I bumped into an issue where you can't do that and you end up having to put the context. Yeah, I think in include context, it's not wrapping, it's putting it in all of them. So I ended up having to do this context do include context because include context do wasn't doing what I thought it was doing. That might not be the case. So let's give this a try, see if that works. So the issue that the test was failing because I'm not actually signed in, right? So I'm trying to test an admin thing. Could not find shared context as an admin user. Aspect shared context as an admin user. Oh, is it because... Do you have to do that context first then? That's weird. Am I missing something? I thought I'd just seen that I'm using it everywhere. As an admin user, as a registered user. Oh wait, these are all system tests. Okay, hang on a second. Am I doing the wrong type of helper? Support requests, system shared context as an admin, shared context as an admin user, which I'm using there via include context. Is it that I need to include that specifically in my Rails helper? Why can't I access my shared context that's being used elsewhere? Yeah, I'm definitely missing something there. So is this being used? Include context as an admin, include context as... Okay. And this is doing include context as an admin user. Is this test file not including the helper? Requiring Rails helper, which I thought would have been getting us everything we need. Okay, definitely missing something there. Could not find shared context as an admin user. Request. Request. Shared context. And then in that shared example being used there. Okay, maybe this is why the others have that boilerplate in, which is this part, because I also already bumped into this. Just looking to see if there's anything obvious as to why I can't access that. I'm definitely missing something. Considering I can get to the other ones from shared context, shared context. Is it because there's a name, like a name clash? As an admin user. Could not find shared context. Run options include locations. 9. Do I have to list the helpers individually? Spec helper. So I think it's just our spec that's loading this stuff up for me, but it's in use. All right, okay. I don't really have... Oh, whoa, did not mean to do that. Okay. Where's this top editor? Sorry about that. Okay, so let's just copy and paste the boilerplate over. Let's solve that another day. As we can do as an admin. This. This can go Does that work now? Okay, great. That is invalid code. That was the original failure we were expecting to see. Good. So here, I think, can you do that? Oh, because there is no event. Oh, because that's only index. Okay, so actually maybe you can do new, and this is the failure. So this should be also. Okay. Okay, cool. So that actually did work. So we can create that now. All right, interesting. So little aspect rabbit hole there. Not sure why we can't use our include context, but we won't debug that right now. But that would be an interesting one to get into, because I keep complaining about the boilerplate everywhere, which we can abstract away, and there's no reason it needs to be there. I don't think, if we set up all of our shared stuff correctly. But we're getting some sort of error on doing that, even though it worked elsewhere. Whatever. All right, so we want a little form so we can make these. We're doing a little bit of boilerplate stuff today. That's all good. So we can just do a form. And we have a couple of these somewhere else. We can just grab this. We have ticket type. Yeah, let's leave URL and method on there, because that's presumably because we can do edit as well. So we can do save type. And on here, all we want R3, so this will be short description and something about max quantity per order. And then we can have a new. We could put this on the index as well, actually, it wouldn't really matter. Yeah, whatever. So this can then just do form. New ticket type. This will be new admin event ticket types path. Guessing this would probably want the organization and the event, which hopefully both exist. And here, nope, they don't exist. Oh, I've got a singular instead of a plural. Great, so we can do new ticket type. And we need to give this here URL, which would be this. And this would have organization, an event, and the method post. Don't have the event at that point. Is the event not set in that controller? Model name. vanilla class. So in there, in new, sorry, I'm just boxing through all this boilerplate stuff. We just want to have ticket type, which would be a new type. This is all just going to be really clunky. And the event can be the event. The ticket type has an event, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Oh, wait, did I just not set it on the model? Did I just set it on the migration? Yeah, okay. I think I didn't do this right around. So we're missing a bunch of tests now. Cool. Okay, so this we want. Just have that as string. They appear as checkbox as text boxes because we put them as text. Yeah, and then this one it knows is a number. Okay, great. So we can have a new. So here we can call like adult ticket. Tickets for all runners over 18. And the date, the event. And you can only order a maximum of 10 of those. Cool. And then you'd have, let's call it a youth ticket. And this one, it's all runners 18. Date of the event. And you can buy 10 of those as well. Cool. Okay, amazing. So this looks like a dog's dinner, but we now have our model. So what this means is we could theoretically build this UI. So for each ticket type within the event, we can then say how many you want. And that can happen on the event page itself. So if we look at how this works at the moment, on the event page, you just have buy ticket. And when we looked at, I think at Eventbrite, that one had like this quantity UI before you actually start your order. So when you go to this, you're going to /orders/new, but this hash here could contain all of your quantities and ticket types and stuff like that. So then all this page would be is collecting. You could leave the same UI on, I guess. You could even create the order at that point if you wanted to, and just give it some sort of ID that was agnostic of like the name and email address. So we can put ours on here and just make it a partial, and you could then play with that as you needed to. So does an order need to know about ticket types in any way, or do we just do all of that on the attendees and the allocations? I think it wouldn't need to know about that. I think it's just like, hey, I think an order is just a bucket, a wrapper for all of those associations. It's the thing that represents the transaction. I don't mean like database transaction. I mean like the user going through and creating that order, or an admin user going through and saying like, hey, I am trying to do some stuff for this event. I think it's going to involve attendees and potentially allocations. And it's all wrapped up in this. And there may or may not be a financial transaction that also goes along with it, where someone needs to pay for these. And that financial transaction will have an impact on the state of the order and things like that. So I don't think the order needs to know about ticket types within it. I have no idea. Okay, so that's all good. So, okay, it's a bunch of mess in here that we now need to sort of tidy up. We've touched 8. Oops. We've touched 8 files here very messily. one of which is just scrambling around. So let's close this half altogether. Go and live in there. Close that. Let's close this. Let's check what we're adding in here. So let's do this. So ticket type. We added our association, so we just want to add a quick kind of regression test to make sure no one removes that association. I think we had a model somewhere. Oh no, that was from event spec. It's the wrong one. Cool. Okay, so how did I not add that? Sorry. Want to add the ticket type model back. And we can just say add. What do? Add event association to ticket type model. We could have done that on that initial commit, introducing it. Just rebase that later. Closing stuff out apart from my little scrap file here. This is a new one I create all together, so I think all of this can go up together, can't it? But in here, in our test, we also want a test for new. But I do want to come back to this thing that we've got now we've got these shared examples where we do seem to have a boilerplate for like it behaves like an admin controller action. Where's that being used? Nowhere. Just skimming through these. Did it never work? Like we were looking at it earlier, but none of these are using it. So what I mean by that is we want to put in the new action. Yeah, so we built it. It doesn't do anything other than show the form. But we saw earlier in our shared request specs that there looked to be this. So shared example, it behaves like an admin controller action. We do have this. Oh, you do have to import them manually. Okay. Interesting. So presumably we could add that into our Rails helper. That's why it wasn't working. Okay. Hello, in the chat, do you only stream on Sunday? I generally tend to only stream on Sundays. Occasionally I do find some additional time, but generally it is mainly Sundays because it is the only time I have during the week that I can sort of commit to. Hello, by the way, in the chat, hello. All right, so this solves the problem we were having earlier. So we actually can get rid of some of that boilerplate, which is annoying, but I think we could just require these in the Rails helpers, but let's do it explicitly for now. So we want this, but for new, right? We want to do that. Don't need any of that. Why doesn't that also then create our, if it is an admin, it's already creating our organization. What do we need that for? And this can just be our root. Something new something. New admin event ticket type path. Oh, do you need it for the path? Because you can't. I do that, and then does this. Right, okay, yeah. I'm trying to work through. shared examples. This organization, by the time this code gets called in here, does it have access to these? So can I do this, or do I actually need to create the organization? Let's just run this one. Oh no, there's, oh good, that hasn't actually shown up. Do you dev professionally or as a hobby? It's my day job. I am a developer. I would say that none of the code we write on this stream represents the type of code I write at work. Hopefully I do my job with a little bit more diligence than we use on the stream. But this stream is hopefully an opportunity to not have to do all of the planning and diligence and good stuff that you would do in your day job. This is just us messing around to explore interesting things, or things that I find interesting anyway. Yeah, so you then can't access organization here because you have to do it outside of that. Okay, so theoretically, does this then work? Okay, so that then works. Okay, that I think you could solve that problem. So this is like, it behaves like an admin controller action, but to build the path, you need some setup to have already been run. Could you just do these? Yeah, could you just do all of that in the shared example as well? So you'd have something in here that was like, so include context as an admin user. Oh, so that's where organization is coming from. Right, so it's not even, okay, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. Whatever. Oops. What am I doing there? It's still less boilerplate than it was. So that is theoretically testing our like, hey, can you access this controller action when you're not signed in? No. Great. Cool. And does it render out the actual action that you asked it to and get a success response, which I think we just default to okay, but could be found or something like that. So we could swap all of this out as well. So this can go. Well, this could then all come. And we already had all this, right? So this and then go, that can go. And here you end up with the include context we had earlier, I think, which would be as an admin user. So does that pass now? I think I've probably chopped off a few block ends somewhere. Have I broken that code? No, okay, that works. So that's the same code. So we've just taken that out. And we also want that it behaves like an admin controller action. Oh, that could also go in index. We could do the same thing. We've taken out for create. Sorry, I'm just going to remove that terminal just so we can see a bit more. So this can go because that's in the shared example. Index action. And this can go. And this can go, and this can go, and this can all have the include context. We're removing all that boilerplate I was complaining about earlier. And then this one can also exist in create, I think. Yeah, so this one's checking, can you access it? But this one would have found as the what's it called? Successful action or something. Successful status would be, I think, found. Oh no, sorry, I'm doing index there. That's the wrong one. So that would be okay. And this one would be found, I think. And this one's okay. So, all right. Does any of that work? I just skimmed through all of that really quickly, but hopefully I can then run back through it and try and show what we're doing. Nope, didn't get any of that right. Okay. Define local with params for... Oh, I see. So here we're doing create action param, so we need a default set of params. There. It's fine because we can just say those are valid default params. I don't even know. Sometimes fine because we could just have a context that was like within valid parameters. Not doing this very diligently, but we sort of get the gist. Just trying to write. Skip the boilerplate. Okay, so we've got one failing. So create. Oh, so create doesn't have found. Wait, what? What's create doing then? It behaves like an admin controller action. So when you perform the action, it expects the response to have an HTTP status of that. And it was actually 200. Is that what we want? Ticket type controller? Because it's a bang method, was it actually failing? But it was found, okay. So I think something's wonky there. I've skimmed over trying to get all of these shared examples. I haven't really checked that they're doing what I think they're doing, which probably isn't great. So this is only one. So create behavior dynamic receives a successful response. But I think a successful response for this should be just see if we are hitting this code path at all. Let's just do quickie debugging. Okay, we are. We are and we aren't. There are two tests running in that spec. Okay, so one is that we're signing in and one is that we aren't, so that we should only be hitting it once. Okay, so in here, does the what are we getting back? Response.body and response. Is it status? I can't remember. We're about to get two, aren't we? Oh, we got neither. Okay. Admin controller action as an admin. Oh, because it's already done it, so it's already failed by then, so we actually don't get the output. I'm guessing. You are being redirected. Okay, great. .302, you are being redirected. Which one of the... So I am getting a redirect. So I do this, I do that, I get here, I get a 302, and I do expect response to have HTTP status successful status. So at that point, I think the status is that, and I think... Expecting response to have status 2 okay, but it was found. Oh, I see. Right, okay, I think I've got this the wrong way around. So successful status there is okay. I'm passing in found. Is that not reading that? But successful status is showing as okay. There, the successful status is okay, but it's not being overridden by this let. Controller action. If I do this and run the same test, what do I get now? Passes. What? Are these not doing what I think they're doing? My assumption... Right, is this the first time I'm overriding this? Right, because this is actually the closest let to where this is being called. So in reality, this is always happening. So in reality, I want successful status to be... like overridable, and I think I just assumed that that let would happen here, but I'm guessing this is the one that gets hit first because they're lazily... Right, so this one hasn't yet been set by the time the shared example is called. Well, clearly not, because this is showing as okay, and it's showing as found if I comment that out. So this one... Can you do something like... just check this. Can we do this? I'm gonna sort of leave this because I'm interested to see. Like I've definitely done this before. Because I was going to be like, oh, you could check the status of another thing. Like I don't think I've done like a check for the value of the other one to be nil. I've definitely handled this, and it worked previously. I wonder if it's because in this one I'm doing an include context within the shared example. Is that one's changing our behavior there? Oh wait, it would be in actually. No, I don't think so. So if I take this out and do it here, I'm guessing they all fail then, right? So it expects them all to be okay. Oh, wait, can we just do let bang? That's not right, right? No, okay, good. Yeah, I think we just haven't used these. I think we just haven't used these shared examples enough or at all. So I think I haven't caught. I think this issue exists, and these don't work. But I've just never used them. I've just been hand cranking everything. So as I was switching all of this stuff over to use the boilerplate stuff, I think we're just bumping into an issue that already exists. This just assumes that the successful status is always going to be okay, and any other thing that you deem successful won't work. But I don't know if there's how else I've handled this. Like, can you pass? Like a method to this that is also in here? I've done this before. Oh well, fuck it. It doesn't really matter right now. I will Google around for that one because I'm interested to see like a nice, elegant way of doing that. But like, is this ever being here? I guess not. If it's already being, if let is already being set there. What would you Google for that? Like, aspect shared examples override local aspect let scoping. So you can give it behaves block like so. So we're doing that. Let is supposed to be scoped to the example blocks in your newsletter. You don't actually use let as params. It's as a parameter now. How let gets defined. Each example group and aspect defines a custom class. Let defines an instance method in that class. However, when you call it behaves like in that custom class, it's calling it the class level rather than from within an instance. I've used let like this. Right, but this assumes connection is set in the caller, not in the shared example. Scope connection do. Connection will be available in the shared example specs. Yeah, okay, fine. Let me know. New connection. That's just passing it through, I think, because it's the same as the block does. So, okay, these are all doing what we're doing, but I'm just looking for like that hierarchy of, I don't want to pass it in every time. I sort of want to set a default value. Share context before. Oh, okay. If we do it in a before block, so before some var equals some value, shared method. Are these just different examples of what you can do? Shared method, and assign an instance variable. Oh, okay. So can we just do whoops. But this... That won't, but that will be unassigned. That won't exist because it... like this would fail or okay. But that would fail because successful status won't exist. Right, okay, but that's only because we've set successful status here, so it would fail on all the others. We want it to assume that it's... So I'm expecting this to error out and say I don't know what successful status is. Yes, okay, it does do that. So do we then, can we do that? Oh, wait, what? Did I not spell it quickly? Oops. Oh, and this should actually be Samvar. Oh, okay. To have status 100, but it was found. So then we can go in here and do this should be found. And all the others should still work. Okay. I don't know if that... I don't know if I fixed that. I got a bit lost in what I was trying to do there. I'm not sure if that's good or if solved the problem I was running it into. I got really lost in all of that. Apologies, because I'm not sure that does what I think it should do. So, right, if I take this off, do all of the others pass? Okay, so I think what should happen is that in here, you say this is an admin controller action. You include the context of as an admin user, so that does the setup of saying like, hey, I'm an admin user, build the factories and do whatever. Here, you basically say, we need to know what success looks like. So go and see if something is set called successful status. And if a let value has been assigned in the block that we pass to the shared example, this will return that value. If we get nothing there, i.e. that hasn't been set, then define it as a symbol of okay, which is our default value. It then runs the expectation, then runs the spec, which is perform action, which is a required let that we need to be set. So we're always expect, so that should fail if the shared example is called without action having been defined. We should get a failure. It's like, I don't know what action is. What are you telling me to do? Okay, fine, because there is no default value for that. However, here it should then say, does the response that I get from the action match this, which is either the symbol that's been passed in as successful status or okay. I think there's a better way to do that using just lets. I think I've just screwed up the precedent there, but I'd have to go and look at how I've done it before. I think this works. I think. Does using an instance... I think that's all. I don't know if that affects like the issue of having like parallel specs, but it'd only be okay, I'm just gonna back away from that on the stream. That's like a someone asked earlier if like we do it professionally, like professionally we'd ask better questions than that, but this all works, so we're good. So I think we got rid of a bunch of setup here. That can all go because that's the same test as the one above. So we don't need that anymore. Create has a bunch of stuff it needs to do. This just checks that it actually creates a thing. And this one, again, you don't need the one above. And then organization and event, we create these over and over again everywhere. So theoretically, no, let's leave those per action. Just if we're going to add boilerplate, might as well do it per action. Okay, so we can create these. We've already created them actually in production. We're just tidying up our commit here. So, and let's commit this separately then. I think we had broken tests earlier. Well, let's just see if we've still got only the same broken tests, or have we just broken a bunch of stuff by doing that? I think they're the same broken test. That'll be to do with the like it was the profile photo stuff or something we were doing last week. I think it's broken that. Yeah, something in the nav bar. Okay, cool. So we can commit this one. Update shared example for the request specs, aren't they? For request specs to allow successful overriding successful response stats. I'm not sure that makes any sense. Update request spec. Knowing response status. So we want to say, don't think this was working previously. And we hadn't noticed as we weren't attempting to test for any admin controller actions that had anything other than an okay response as our as our create action turns a bound, we want the shared example to check for a what's it called? Successful. And the block we're passing to the example before using that value. I guess that it's the default value in the shared example. I'm not really describing that very well, but again, it's the stream, so we're not going to be too diligent about that. Before using the default value in the shared example. Okay, fine. I think everything else in here is just making boilerplatey stuff to get this working. Yeah, okay, cool. So this can all go up bar that. Okay, so we want to say add new and create actions for ticket types. This is mainly to give us a simple UI, be able to add basic ticket types for events. I'm just trying to clarify to the person reading that commit that there's nothing, I'm not trying to do anything special in there. There's nothing really to look out for. So that's the fix that we did earlier for all of our nav bars. All right, cool. So we can then create ticket types. Just aware of the time, I have to run shortly. We've been going a couple of hours. So I think the next step for us would be to build this and build a set of params from this that would allow us to pass everything we needed to the event, to the order creation, as we did in our kind of our hacky example code at the start. We have everything we need to start building this out, I think. So we would need, let's put a little list of stuff we would need together. So we would want get all active ticket types at the point of, first of all, we'd want them all. So again, we haven't actually introduced the idea of active and non-active ticket types, but we could put something called like, we could put a scope in that just gets all of them at the moment and then build that scope out later. We'd need it at the point of loading the order UI. And then we would need to do the same thing when saving the order, because you'd need to check that the ticket type hadn't become inactive during that period. And then we want to build a quantities per ticket type for the order. And I'm guessing if we're going to do this, you would need to solve the issue of there'd have to be a default ticket type per event. There'd have to be like a minimum. You would just create, every time you create an event, you'd need to create a default ticket type per event, and you'd need to add validation that an event well, I guess maybe you wouldn't. Maybe they could delete all ticket types, but when you're going to have your event with no ticket types, but you can't start selling the tickets, right? You could put the event page up, but no one can click order until you build something. So again, when we looked at Eventbrite, you could sort of have very little information before your ticket started selling, whereas some of the others were like, no, you have to fill in 15 pages of stuff. So maybe we don't care. Maybe you don't need to do any of that stuff, so you can get your event page up, but the ticket purchase button won't appear until you've built all your ticket types out. And if there are no active ticket types, you can't buy any tickets. So it doesn't matter. That could be where the logic is. Okay, so maybe we don't care if there are no active ticket types. Fine. Okay. Build a set of quantities per ticket types for the order, and that's basically a set of params. And then at this point, we would do the order creation logic with, and this would be the attendee and allocation creation, which is the stuff we were looking at the start of this stream. We can just build that stuff out so we can have a, however we end up building that, maybe something like, do you build an order builder class that's just a command, like, it's just like a command query. It's like, I do this, I build this thing, and I bring you back a response object of some type as to whether that's worked or not. I don't know. We'll figure that out next stream. All right, that's what we're going to do next time. So I made a little list there, which I will try and save somewhere. And yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you for people jumping in the chat. There's a couple of people. Hopefully they're saying hello. And hopefully people have wonderful Sundays or whatever day you are watching this. Apologies for the slight time moving of this stream. I know some people do sort of check in around the same time each week. I am trying to keep it at 10:30 a.m. But life happens. It just happens and you can't help it. Have wonderful weeks. Have a wonderful Sunday. And I will hopefully see you all next Sunday. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.